I've been thinking about desire a lot lately, and why do people live lives of quiet desperation, going to their grave with their song still inside them? Song. Thoreau said that. Why is that though? Why is that the case? Is it just like a byproduct of human nature living in a modern industrialized world where we've removed nature from the equation? I actually think that is the answer. But how can we think about it as humans that live in our modern environment? What can we do to mitigate this? What can we do to maybe change our fate? Now, I'm not pretending to have all this figured out. I'm on my own journey, but I've been able to do things and reach a certain level of consciousness and happiness and contentment with my life that I'm very grateful to have achieved. I have 2 young sons at home, a loving family, house, awesome stuff. I still have opportunity in the future, made some money, have some security that way. And the whole time I've been doing this over, my 15-year entrepreneurial journey, I've always looked at like friends and family and people around me and just thought to myself, like, why do they stay so stuck in the same place? Why? Like, they don't lack the intelligence. Literally, you watching this, it has nothing to do with intelligence. At least as I define, or as we might define societal success, like having money and maybe status or whatever. I think there's a lot of traps pursuing those things, but maybe that doesn't matter to you. Maybe you just want to live a happy life. Maybe you want to be fulfilled. Maybe you want to just kill that inner critic. You want to remove the shame. You want to just free yourself from yourself. Like that, to me, fundamentally is the ultimate goal of life. It should be. Because you have all the money in the world and you can be miserable or be a prisoner of your own cage that you created for yourself. Or you could be unhealthy, etc. So, why is it? Why do people struggle pursuing a fulfilled, happy life? There's a lot of reasons for this. There's 2 things I want to talk about. There's desire, and there's unlearning of all the bad conditioning, indoctrination that society has just put into your brain, okay? So the reason most people don't become confident in who they are until, I would say, even post 30s, and most people hit it when they're 40 or 50, when they kind of get to that point where they just don't really care what the world thinks as much. They can kind of live their own truth, and some do it better than others. Some just pursue the wrong things, go down the wrong paths. But it takes a long freaking time to get to that point where you remove yourself more and more and more and more from societal's accepted status quo, what's good, what's right, what's whatever, all that bad indoctrination. It's indoctrination. We've all been brainwashed to believe that what we see on TV and what celebrities do and money and fame and power and status and all these ridiculous games that people play and that society offers up for us as the path, we've been led to believe that is the answer to life. That's what we're supposed to do. And it's not at all. It's actually so far in the wrong direction. And it is such a representation of how destructive and going in the wrong direction our society and modern life really is. So you have to remove all of those ideas that have been implanted in your head. Your friends, your family, your parents growing up, the shame you have, the guilt you have, whether it's about sex, how you look, whether it's about the things you believe or your habits or how you look, whatever it is that you have shame because this external thing has come at you and said, you're supposed to look like this, think like this, act like this. And because you're over here, you should feel bad about that and you should cause yourself suffering and you should basically try to put yourself over here and do whatever it takes to get there. This is kind of the unspoken rule that you're supposed to follow or whatever. And it's a lie. They say you take the red pill, right? Because it wakes you up to see through all the BS. The BS of society, the BS of schools and parents and just everything that 99% of the population believes is the right way or is the only way, When you take the red pill, they say, it means you just kind of dispel that matrix, that illusion, and then you can see the reality for what it is. And I could talk about this topic in a bunch of different esoteric rabbit holes, on and on. But what prompted this video was that idea of desire. And unlearning. So unlearning the bad things. That's kind of like phase one. You have to really unlearn the indoctrination and the bad ideas and beliefs that you developed over years. You have to unlearn those, because if you have a lot of desire to be successful in whatever way that means to you, you might follow a lot of those wrong paths. Like you might become rich and famous, but then you'll be unhappy and miserable, right? You can become rich and famous and live a fulfilled life and figure things out, right? But rich and famous itself has actually nothing to do with happiness and fulfillment and living a life that matters. It has nothing to do with it. In fact, they're almost at odds with each other, meaning that if you were given fame and money and success, you will actually be further away from finding happiness and fulfillment, okay? So like, you can't have desire to be successful if you don't first unlearn a lot of the bad things that are probably leading in the wrong directions. So that's the first most important thing. I don't have tips right now in this video on how you can do that unlearning. I will say though, that is a multi-year process. Reading lots and lots of books, lots of philosophy, having really tough conversations with yourself and with others, trying to bring in as much data as you can, look at alternative viewpoints and alternative ways of living, and just bring in anything and everything that challenges or helps you see clearly what you think is correct, or what you think life should be, or whatever. Like, and then you just do that for years on end, and you kind of get there one way or the other, hopefully. As long as you keep going, I think you will. Because there are some fundamental truths that are built into human biology that we can all seek to embrace more in our life and pursue more, and have principles around that, like whether it's community, whether that's like purpose, the work you do, the difference you make, etc. So you got to unlearn things. That's one. Now, the second thing is desire, and that's what I wanted to talk about at first, but then I realized that you have to unlearn things before you have desire, because desire in the wrong direction can lead you into dangerous places. So the thing about success that you can't teach, that you can't find in a course, that you can't find in a book, in a podcast, a video, or anything, is you can't teach people how to desire something. Now, for whatever reason, an accident of nature. Oh, wow. Hey! Yeah, go inside, guys. You're gonna get scooped up by a hawk. Come on. Hey, come here. Come on. Come on. Okay, that was intense. Holy shit. Look at this. So they were over there in the grass, and I saw it coming straight on, like this far off the ground. A hawk swoops down and almost grabs one of them. It's crazy. So yeah, you guys should probably hang out here for now. I don't see him. I don't see where he went. Okay, so think about desires. You can't teach this to people. And it is a prerequisite to achieving anything that you want to achieve, right? Like, if you don't really want something, if you don't desire it enough to make decisions on a daily basis to achieve it, you won't. You will never achieve that thing, at least not through your own doing. You might accidentally stumble upon money or whatever, but it's not because you worked for it. You got lucky or some random happenstance happened. And that's not really what you want to count on in life. You want to desire the life you want and whatever it is, success, freedom, autonomy, and then you want to pursue that, right? You want your desire that is the fuel to propel you, not some fake idea of motivation or whatever. You build discipline and habits and routines around the desire for getting to a place you want to get to, okay? I don't know it's hard to talk about this because I've had desire throughout my life for different things. I've always felt like I've thought differently, and I've wanted success. I've wanted freedom. There is actually one thing that I did recognize early on. I had jobs. I've worked construction. My first job was at the movie theater. I've bussed tables. I've dug holes. I've done lots of stuff. And early on, I recognized that I want to be in control of my time. I want to be in control of what I do. For me, that was like an overarching thing. And it was kind of like a combination of like wanting that and maybe wanting some idea of success. But it was also a fear of being an employee my whole life and being told what to do my whole life. Like I have such a strong inner need as a person to control what I do when I do it and control my time, that like itself, that whatever that is, whatever that's a defect of my character or growing up or something, that has been a wellspring that's fueled my desire to get to that point. And that's like, one example, like figuring out what that is for you. Maybe it's fear that you'll never amount to anything, or you'll make a difference, or you'll waste this life. Like, I think fear is very powerful. I think you have to be careful with letting it manipulate you and lead you down bad paths and lead you to obsessive behavior. But, I don't also think that just ignoring fear, which is a mechanism that is intended to do something, you can't just ignore it or pretend it's not there. You have to embrace it and try to use it to your advantage, really. So fear for me is a big one. Then, seeing death in my life, losing my father, grandparents, things like that, also built into me a fear. I would even say it's a fear. Like I don't want to die like anybody else, but as I've grown older, I've come more to terms that if that's going to happen, it's going to happen. But I've always had this fear that I would, get taken too soon or get taken before I can do something great, and that my life would just be, I don't want to say a waste, but just I would have just wasted potential. And that's another thing about my personality. Like I think wasted potential is terrible. So these are a couple of many things. Like maybe I have some things I'm trying to compensate for when I was younger. I don't know, but I do know that becoming an entrepreneur was like the only thing for me. I couldn't be somebody's employee. It just didn't fit. And so I got lucky to find entrepreneurship. But as I've kind of done entrepreneurship more, and I've, worked on my strengths, worked on my weaknesses, figure out like how I want to work, how I like to work. Do I want a big company? No. Do I want a lot of employees? No. And I've kind of, over the years, cultivated who I want to be and how I want to work. I've combined desire with skill and with what I'm doing and appreciation for that. And I've connected that to goals. I've connected that to, how I want to live my life and lifestyle design and all these things. And, it's not like one comes before the other. I think it's an iterative process. But for whatever reason, having kind of a growth mindset and always being like confident enough in myself that I'll do the work and that I can kind of figure things out, that has been like my greatest skill set as an entrepreneur. And then I found entrepreneurship and it was a match made in heaven, and then, kind of just kept going. So I know it's hard to identify these things, quantify these things, because like I can tell you what worked for me, and like I can try to tell you some things. Like my memory is not even going to be fully accurate. I might be telling you things that sound good. I might have gotten completely lucky. All I know is that the harder I work and the more I adapt, the luckier I get. So yeah, desire is one of those things that you can't just learn it from somebody. Nobody can teach it to you. Nobody can give it to you. But you can, if you're open, if you keep an open mind and you keep going, you can cultivate and grow desire, and you can connect desire to something you're doing or something you're good at. And a good book to read on this is Cal Newport's So Good They Can't Ignore You. The idea that like you have to like find your passion and things like that. Like sometimes you have to develop your passion. You have to cultivate your passion. Sometimes results themselves are the thing that creates passion. So if you suck at something and then you get good at it, you get a little bit of results, that becomes your passion, even if it wasn't your passion in the beginning. There's a lot of ways to have passion and cultivate that and whatever. And when you have passion, I feel like a lot of ways that is like one of those, it's like coal for the furnace of desire. You keep fueling that with results, and then you enjoy what you're doing, you do it more. They're all kind of connected. They all help each other, play off each other. So, those are just some thoughts about, building a successful life. I will say it's not just about money. In fact, it's not really about money at all. For me, I used to think I need like $10 million or I wouldn't like be, have made it or whatever. Now I realize it's way less than that. I just need enough money that gives me the freedom to wake up and work on whatever I want to work on every single day, which I'm already doing, and the freedom to be able to travel and protect my family, which I have. I've already locked that up. Like I can basically be set for life. And it's not millions of dollars. In fact, it's less than $1 million. You'd be surprised what you can do with less than $1 million. So, yeah, I mean, it's like relationships, how I want to spend my time. How do I want to have family time and balance my other passions, whether that's YouTube or writing or things like that. It's like, how often do I want to travel? What things matter to me? And then really for me, it's peace of mind. The reason I don't want to have hundreds of employees because it is extremely stressful. And there's always something you have to put out. It's like a never-ending thing. That's not enjoyable for me. I like educating. I like reading. I like writing. I like doing videos, podcasts. And that's not a multi-million-dollar business. A few people in the world can make that kind of money with these type of things, but for most people, that's not the path. The path, these things you do for their own sake. You do them because you enjoy them. And you want to maybe reach people and help people connect with them. And maybe they'll make some money, maybe they won't, but you'll do them anyways. And what happens, ironically, is when you find those things you'll do anyways, you'll do them for the sake of doing them, they actually end up bringing you tangible financial rewards that you didn't even expect. And if they don't, for me personally, I'm going to keep doing them. I could have 1 million YouTube subs, and if I was making basically no money, like if they demonetized my account, I would still make the videos, So let me know what you think. I'm going to be doing more videos like this on escaping fragility. That's my second YouTube channel. It's kind of my backup channel. I talk about different ideas like success, money, and like whatever comes to mind, having a plan B, etc. And my main channel is all health and nutrition and lifestyle. That's the ancestral. Well, actually, it's just my name now, Colin Stuckert. That's kind of loosely connected to the Ancestral Mind podcast, which is the podcast we talk about health and everything related to ancestral health. So you can check that out. You can get all this over at colin.coach, and you can get on the newsletter. Let me know what you think about this. And if there's any topics you want me to cover or talk about or anything, just drop them below. I love getting prompts for videos because then I don't have to do a bunch of research. I know what to record, please send them over. Drop them in a comment, email me. I'll see you in the next one.